Hey, all right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Chase McDonald. I'm the Assistant State Engineer over the Adjudication section at the Division of Water Rights. Throughout this presentation, I'll just say it up front, I will use these two terms synonymously. Division of Water Rights and Office of the State Engineer mean the same thing, okay? We are recording this public meeting. We will be uploading it to YouTube later. My slides that we're going to go through are already uploaded on the website. A lot of people like to take pictures. You're welcome to take pictures, or you can hold off. I'll show you how to access these slides toward the end of the presentation. I do ask, we'll have a Q&A at the end of the presentation, and then I'll go through a website tour and show you guys how to access some of this stuff that we talk about. So I ask that you hold your questions to the end. And yeah, with that, we'll get started. So this is the public meeting, the final public meeting for the Midway Subdivision. We published the proposed determination not too long ago. And so here we are, we're going to walk through, tell you what that means, how to access it, how to find the information inside it. And then I do have some staff here at the end of the presentation. If you have questions about your specific water rights, your specific situation, we'll stick around as long as we need to afterward and make sure we answer everybody's questions, okay? So I've kind of touched on some of this. We'll talk about the adjudication process. We'll go pretty lightly over it since we're on the tail end here. I'll show you how to access the proposed determination and the hydrographic survey map and what those look like. We'll go through different pages in the proposed determination. I'll show you a sample page of the hydrographic survey map, and then we'll talk about how to file an objection if you need to, and how to find those objections if you want to find those in the future. Then, like I said, we'll do a website tour and answer any questions that anybody has. At any time, now or in the future, you can send an email or send any questions to that email right there, waterrights_adjudication@utah.gov. So I've used the word adjudication several times. Let's talk about what that is. So a general adjudication, it's an action in the state district court. Okay, it joins all water users, including state and federal agencies, into one comprehensive lawsuit to settle and determine the nature and extent of all the existing water rights within the area. It is governed by law, by Utah State Code Title 73, Chapter 4, and in law, it gives the state engineer a very important role to play in the adjudication process. So, as you see in that map there, the entire state is, everywhere in the state is under a general adjudication. Tonight, we're talking about the Midway Subdivision. So that is within the Utah Lake Jordan River general adjudication. And then we have the Provo Division, and then we've subdivided that smaller so we can take bite-sized chunks as we work through this. But a little bit of history of why we do an adjudication. In Utah, water rights, we use the doctrine of prior appropriation, so first in time, first in right. So it's important to know that Utah and Salt Lake Valleys were first settled in 1847, but Utah didn't become a state until 1896. So there was about 50 years of water development in that time frame, and then furthermore, the Utah Constitution only had one reference to water rights. And all it said is that water rights were recognized and confirmed. It didn't quantify them. It didn't put them on a record anywhere. It didn't define any of them. Instead, they created the adjudication process to accomplish that task. To further complicate things, there were no comprehensive water laws until 1903. And as I said, water rights were not required to be brought onto the record until 1903. So why we adjudicate, it's to bring all of these claims, all water rights onto the public record, onto the state engineer's records. Okay, so throughout this presentation, I may talk about pre-statutory claims. All that means is a water right that was put to beneficial use if it was a surface source prior to 1903, if it was an underground source prior to 1935. So sometimes I refer to those as grandfathered rights. They were put to use. They were established prior to comprehensive water laws. The adjudication is a mechanism to bring those onto the record. We also deal with Federal Reserve rights. Those are rights owned by the federal government. And one of the main goals, one of the main reasons we adjudicate is to prevent a multiplicity of suits. You know, as I've said, it's a comprehensive effort where we bring absolutely everybody to the table to prevent everybody from suing everybody else to try to figure out what all the water rights, the extent and the nature of all these water rights. That third point on the right is the scary one. We do remove or reduce water rights which have been wholly or partially forfeited through non-use. And if people have questions, we'd be happy to talk more about that. And then the end goal of the adjudication is to obtain final comprehensive decrees on all water rights within a respective drainage. So that's what an adjudication is, why we do it. Now let's talk about the process itself. So this graphic, we try to, it's a really complicated process. As I said, it's all defined in statute. We try to break it down into 3 phases to make it a little bit easier to understand. And right now we are in phase 3. We published the proposed determination and now we're having a public meeting to get the word out there, let you know what's going on. But a little bit of history for this particular subdivision. The notice of commencement and the summons were done back in December of 2019. We had a public meeting back in 2020 where we came out and said, here's what we're doing, here's the process, here's how you participate. After that, we sent out notice to file claims to everybody, and then all the water users submitted claims to our office and or the district court. Excuse me, we looked at all those claims, compared them to all the water rights on our records, and any water rights on our records that were not claimed, we compiled into this list of unclaimed rights, which we submitted to the court. After we submitted that to the court, there was a 90-day period to file objections. You know, but in the meantime, we had a public meeting to again say, here's what we've done so far, here's what to expect moving forward. Then we did a final summons. We searched the records again to try to find anybody we may have missed the first time around, because we really do try to make this comprehensive. We try to be as transparent as possible throughout this process. And then we resolved all those objections on the list of unclaimed rights and got a decree. So since then, since we sent out that notice to file claims in 2020, we're now down to that bottom left, step number 11, the claim investigation. We've been going out investigating all of these claims, conducting field reviews. Some of you may have had our staff reach out to you, come out and meet with you and see how your water rights are being used. And we generated a recommendation for every single claim that we received and compiled all of those into the book that we call the proposed determination. And so that was published on March 27th. And here we are today, as I've said, again, holding the public meeting. So when that proposed determination was published, that triggered the 90-day window to file an objection. So in this presentation, I'll tell you how to file an objection, how to access the proposed determination so you can see what we submitted to the court. If you disagree with anything in it, we'll tell you how to file an objection, and then you'll go through that process. And then similar to the list of unclaimed rights, once we work through all of those objections and get all those resolved, we'll seek a decree from the court. So accessing the proposed determination, we sent out notice to all water right owners listed on our records and all claimants who submitted claims in the Midway Subdivision, also registered agents and counsel of record. So we sent that notice to everybody. That included information about this meeting, presumably how you knew about this meeting. And so on that notice, it does give instructions on how to access the proposed determination. But just a reminder, we have it on our website on those links, or at those links. We filed it with the district court, or if you want a hard copy, you can come to our office and we can print off a hard copy. And it says for a nominal fee, that's just to cover the printing costs. And I will in a website tour show you how to access this as well. So here's the contents of the proposed determination. We're going to talk through each of these and show you an example page for each. So to start, the title page has a lot of important information on it. The district court that has jurisdiction over this general adjudication. It has the description and the civil case number, which if you are going to file an objection, the civil case number is very, very important. We have the hydrologic division and subdivision names, and then the area number and the book number. The next page is the notice to water users, which has, again, the civil case number. And right here on, like, toward the front of the proposed determination, in writing, it has the instructions on filing an objection, okay? So we'll make that a little bit bigger. So basically it says that once the PD is published, you have 90 days to object to the proposed determination. You need to file a written objection to the Third District Court, and you should send one to us as well, send a copy to us, and it must include that civil number. Okay, that's very, very important. That's why we have it there. It's all over in the PD itself. But that's the instructions on how to file an objection are in the book itself, okay? So moving on from there, the preamble just provides a lot of background information about the subdivision, about the Utah Lake Jordan River general adjudication, and has in-depth descriptions about different things within the proposed determination. One important section in this area is the prior decree section, because a lot of the water rights in this book were included in the Provo River Decree. So we have a little bit of information in the preamble about the Provo River Decree and how to access that decree if you want to go do some research on that. Here's a map showing the location and the extents of the Midway Subdivision. As you can see there, it starts down a little bit below Deer Creek and then goes up the canyon, up through Midway and up to Brighton Estates area as well. So the priority schedule, this just lists all the different sources of water in the proposed determination and the different priority dates of each of the water rights in each of those sources. So it includes the name of the water source, the priority date, the flow, it says flow, but it's flow or volume of water, a water right number, and then the owner of record. And that is just the owner of record on the state engineer's records, okay? If you see a water right that you believe you own, but it's listed in somebody else's name, you can contact us. We just publish in the name of the owner of record. There's a process to update title if you need to. So description of water rights. This is arguably the most important part, at least for you all, to be able to look at your specific water right and see what our recommendation had, or what our recommendation was. So we have the water right number, and I just picked one at random. We have the name of the owner of record. Then we have a type of right and quantity of water. It can either be in a flow or a volume or both. Then the priority date and the source of water. There's the point of diversion description, and if it's a well, it will have data about the well. The water use group. If you have questions about that on yours, come talk to us and we'll help you understand what that means. Then the nature of beneficial use. This one has irrigation and stock watering on it. Then there's a period of use for each of those natures of beneficial use and a sole supply. Then we have the place of use information. And we use the PLSS, the Public Land Survey System, for that. And then quarter sections, quarters, and then other comments. Basically, it has all each attribute of a water right. So the water right number, ownership information, type of right, where it's used, how it's used, where the water comes from. Okay, that's the basic information that's in there. So then we have renumbered rights as well. We have renumbered water right here, and the new water right number. If you're in a case where you have a renumbered water right and you're confused what that means, come talk to us. One thing I forgot to mention, there are also, so this is description of water rights. There's also exchanges and share statements can be listed in the proposed determination. They have the same general format as the water rights, okay? We already talked about renumbered rights. So then forfeited rights, these are water rights that were on the records that we went out and evaluated and we found no evidence of beneficial use. And statute does say that if a water right or a portion of a water right has not been used for a period of 7 years or more, it may be subject to forfeiture. So if a water right is listed in this section, it means that we went out and evaluated it. We went out and conducted a field review. We found no evidence of beneficial use. So that includes a water right number, the ownership information, or the name of the owner of record, point of diversion, and the source. And then invalid claims. Invalid claims are just claims that were filed for water uses that were not established in accordance with statute. If you have one of these, come talk to us and we'll help you understand better what that means. So there's the water right number, the owner of record, point of diversion, and the source. And then the alphabetic index. This is hopefully going to help you find your water right, because this is a large document just on this. This alphabetic index starts at page 293. So you can use this to find your water right number. So it's based on the name of the owner on our records, has the point of diversion and the source, or just the point of diversion, description of the source, the water right number, and then what page you can find that water right number on. So next is the hydrographic survey map, and we have all of these on our website. Again, you can access these from our website, but there's 35 pages of this map on our or for this subdivision. And so, like any good map, it has a north arrow, a scale, and a scale bar, has a legend, and then irrigated areas are shaded on the map, and they represent water use groups, and you can match that color to the map legend to see what water rights contribute to that water use group. And we also have the macro insert there to help you understand what area you're looking at. Okay, so we've talked about how to file objections. One thing I want everybody to know is, I've talked about you have 90 days from the date the proposed determination was published to file an objection. And so I'll show you where to find them if you want to stay up to date and see any objections that were filed. And then if you see any objections that you think might affect your water right, you can self-identify as a potentially affected party. And if you do that, if you opt in, you'll be notified of filings pertaining to the objection. So you can locate the objection on our website. And like I said, I'll show you all of this, but under details and other actions, we will upload for each of these objections. We'll upload what's called a PAP, a potentially affected party notice form that you can fill out and submit to the court to be notified of filings pertaining to that objection. And with any of this stuff, I know there's a lot of information. I've gone through it very quickly. Like I said, we're going to stick around afterward to answer any of your questions. These slides will be available on our website. This presentation will be available on our YouTube channel. And please, at any time, if you have questions, give us a call. And we're happy to even just help click you through the website to find what you need to find, okay? So at this point, before I go into the website tour, I'll ask if there are any questions. What I ask is, if you have questions about your particular water right or your special circumstance, hold those until after, and we'll meet with you and talk about your specific case. But if you have questions about the adjudication process in general or the proposed determination or objections, I'd love to answer those with the group here. No questions? Okay. Hopefully that doesn't mean that I didn't cover things well enough. But let's look at the website and we'll talk through the website and then we'll see if there's any more questions, and then we'll end the recording and stick around and answer any specific questions that you might have. So this is our homepage on our website, waterrights.utah.gov. And just so you know, you see up in the top right corner, it says staff login. I am not logged into the website, so everything that we look at right now is what you would see if you logged on, okay? This is all the public-facing websites. So the first thing that a lot of people do when they come to our website is they want to find their water right, find their property. So from our homepage, you can scroll down this water right search over on the left. You can click map search, and that's going to pull up our mapping software or server, mapping server. And then it's really clunky to zoom in on one of these touch pads, but bear with me. We'll zoom in here. I can turn on this adjudication books layer. So you see 5510. This is the Midway Subdivision. You can just scroll in here, and I'm going to pick a random water right. Okay. So when you look at our mapping server, you'll see these little red icons. You'll see little blue icons with water right numbers next to them. Red ones indicate a groundwater source. Blue ones represent a surface source. So let's just pick one randomly. Let's say this is your property. You zoomed in, found an icon. You wanted to look at the details of the water right. You can click that, and it gives you a very brief summary of that water right. And then you can click the blue water right number, and it will take you to the water rights details page that has a lot more information. One thing I want to show you is every document, we are an Office of Public Records, so every document that we have sent to you or you have sent to us, if it is associated with a specific water right, we have it in a file in our office, and we have it scanned to our website. So you can come here to the scan documents and click that. I always, just out of habit, sort by date. You can see this memo to file. And what this does is explains so on each of these, there will be a state engineer's recommendation, which should match what is in the proposed determination, and a memo that explains what our evaluation was and why we made the recommendation we made. So all of that is publicly available for every single one of these water rights. That's how you access that. And then similar to what's in the proposed determination, you have the ownership information. You have type of water right, you have quantity of water, different pertinent dates like priority date, points of diversion, beneficial uses, things like that. Okay. And now, if you know your water right number and you want to search for your particular water right number, we'll start back at the home page. You can scroll down, and instead of clicking map search, click the search menu. That brings you here. You can click water right number, and then you can search for your water right. I'm just going to search for the same one, 5757. If you search this, it pulls up that same page. Okay, so it goes back. My internet will cooperate. So it's going to make me a liar in front of all these nice people. So it will pull up that same page eventually. Bear with me here. Right. Cool. Says it didn't return any results. Let me try a different one. Try something else. Seems like our database is having some issues right now, and now it's not populating here. All right. I apologize for having technical difficulties. I'm not sure what's going on with our website right now. Let me try one more time. Hopefully some of these other pages will work for me to be able to show you. Just try to go back to the home page here. Okay, this works. So we'll see if that pulls up. If it does, great. If not, we'll try to come back to it. So here on the home page, if you scroll down, those are those two search menus that we talked about. You can also go to adjudication. Click this. There's a helpful video about, I mean, you guys are kind of toward the end of the process, but if you want to learn more about the adjudication process, you can watch that video. You can come down and click on active adjudications. The Midway subdivision is in here. If you click this button, it'll take you to the mapping server. If you click this, it will take you to the public version of what we call the PD book manager, the proposed determination book manager. I think, okay, it's called adjudication progress interface. Let's go back here. I may be showing a little bit too much. Hopefully it's not overwhelming, but the really important page, and I'm going to start over because this is the really important page for what we're talking about today, how to access the proposed determination. If you come down and go to adjudication, scroll down to adjudication status. And I really hope this works. Seems like our database is having some issues right now. Yeah, it seems like the internet's fine. I have a good connection. I think our database is having some issues here. Well, the good news is we have other meetings like this that have been recorded, and I walked through all this stuff and it worked. This is the first time it hasn't worked. So if you need help accessing this stuff, I'm gonna, oh, there it goes. Now with me, I think. And then I see a comment online. I'm getting an error when clicking on adjudication status. I apologize for that. This is going a little clunky right now. Like I've said, if you have any questions about any of this, you can call us, but I'm going to try to limp through the rest of this. So these on this adjudication status page, these are all sorted by general adjudication, okay? So as I've said, we are in the Utah Lake Jordan River general adjudication. So let's scroll down to that. You see here, Utah Lake Jordan River. There's a whole bunch of entries here. We'll go to Midway Subdivision. Click here. This has all of the mailings, the mass mailings, like the summons mailing, the notice file claims mailing, all that stuff is in here. The presentation that I just walked you through is right here under public or final public meeting date. Right next to that, there's this little icon. If you click that, it pulls up the slides that we just talked through. Okay, so all that information is readily available right there. And then back to the Midway adjudication status page, I talked about where to find the objections rather. So down here toward the bottom of the page, it says Utah Lake Jordan River adjudication book 10 PD objections. So you notice that there's a whole bunch here, a whole bunch of objections for the list of unclaimed rights. Those have all already been resolved. But if and when we receive objections on the proposed determination, those will be populated right here. Okay, and they'll look very similar to this. So once they populate under the PD objections, you can view the actual objection by clicking here. We will upload that. You can go over here and click this details page, and that's where I said we will upload this PAP notice form. And then once it's resolved, you can click the documents to view the resolution. Okay, so I think as far as the website tour, those are the main things I wanted to show you. So we'll go back. Okay, so we'll leave this contact information on the screen. I do apologize, the website tour didn't work very well, but at least you've seen it and you know what information is available, so you can call us and we can help you get there, okay? Before we close out the recording, are there any questions from the group in general? Like I said, we'll stick around and answer your personal questions after. Yes, ma'am.
Just the owners who file objections to the adjudication?
Okay, that's a great question. Is it only owners that can file an objection to the adjudication? No. Anybody can file an objection to any of the recommendations in the proposed determination. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, I think at this point we'll end the recording and we'll stick around. Looks like there's one online. Okay, the question online, can you please show one more time where you can find the recommendation on a particular water share? So that's the part, I'm not sure if it's Dana or Dana. That's all I can try, but that was part of the website that wasn't working. Tell you what, if you would either send me an email, my contact information is right there. If you want to send me an email or give me a call, I will help you with that later when we're not having technical difficulties, okay? All right. And I think we're going to end the recording, and my staff is back there at the table, or we have Mike Ferguson, who's a representative from the Attorney General's office. If you have questions for him, we'll stick around and get you taken care of. Okay, thank you.